welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda, coming to you with another message from the heart. So there's been a lot of messages coming through these days around releasing fear, holding on to your anchor of being an anchor of light and love in all that is going on right now, holding your center, and seeing the possibilities. A lot of us have been feeling something coming for a really long time, and if you're like me and a lot of the people that I seem to hang out with, in a way you're kind of relieved. You're kind of relieved that this thing we've been feeling coming for so long is finally here, that it's manifesting in itself in a way that perhaps we didn't necessarily expect, but at least we're seeing it being manifested. We're seeing the time that we've been waiting for being here and now, and how it's unfolding. Of course, there's a lot that is still unknown, but we've been preparing for this. And for a long time, we've been seeing what is wrong. We've been seeing so many problems that we just also felt helpless to being able to fix. And so we've all been on our own paths trying to connect with tools that helped make living through these times more bearable, make it easier, help us connect to our purpose and our meaning and what we can do as conscious creators. And now we're really at this fork in the road, at this time where we can actually shift into something else as long as we stay aware. And unfortunately, there is a lot of energy circulating that's going to want to continue to bring us down and out of that awareness and out of that power. But it's absolutely a time to hold on to all the practices that you've been learning, to implement them in order to stay centered, in order to continue anchoring light, in order to continue being a lighthouse or a beacon for others who are trying to stay above all of the kind of confusion and chaotic energy that is being circulated right now. And as long as you keep coming back to yourself and checking in, staying centered, you can keep showing up in that way, which you may be feeling called to do, as I am. And so the big piece that's coming up now for all of us to consider is this idea that we've been imagining a new world. We've been already co-creating a new world, a new earth. And we can see that manifested. We can begin to bring things together. We can begin to create something. There is tremendous possibility and opportunity here now, as long as we continue to stay strong, stay rooted in love. And one thing that we have to keep in mind, though, is that as we wish to create the new, we don't have to tear absolutely everything down. I mean, there is a lot of corruption, there are a lot of problems in the current systems that are in place, but not everything was built up from fear or from a desire to enslave or dominate. Not everything. Despite those things that we know are in place, there was still a lot of love put into the creations that we do see in place, in the systems that we do see in place. There are certain foundations beneath it all that are still usable. And so when we imagine building up this new earth, when we want to begin to create something new, when we tap into that vision for what it is that we want and what it is that we know is possible, and we hold on to it, just keep in mind that in order for us to advance, we don't need to destroy everything that was behind us. It does take so much more energy to build from scratch than to actually find the pieces that are still usable and build off of what our ancestors did leave us. Because, again, while a lot of us reject and hate, even hate the old, there are still pieces that can be used. There are still things that can be salvaged within that. There are still things that we can use and learn from, and we don't have to knock everything down and rebuild from scratch. I think it's important for us to remember that, because rebuilding from scratch is going to take so much more energy, and it almost even is a kind of betrayal to our ancestors. It's almost offensive to ignore the things that were built and the things that were created and left for us as a legacy to find and to work with and to use. So we can't forget that. I want to give you a 3D example of this, because it's really what I'm seeing for me as an explanation, and I think it just gives a good visual, okay? So I bought a house, and in my house, not everything is perfect, okay? There are things that I want to change. There are things that I want to update that I know can be made better. But if we start to look at the details too much and begin to criticize every little thing, I could decide to just knock this house down and restart from scratch because of the problems that are in place. But in reality, I do see a parallel world where I know people in my life who are doing that, who are piece by piece knocking down parts of their home and rebuilding it from scratch to make it better. And I see the way that that's consuming their entire experience on earth. All of their money, all of their time, all of their focus goes into rebuilding this house. And I think we have to also remember that while we are here to help rebuild something, that's not the only thing that we're here to do. And we need to save some of our energy for the actual experience of being here and for the actual experience of enjoying this life on earth and seeing the beauty and seeing all of the joy that can be found in the little things here. So just hopefully that gives you an illustration of how you can kind of look at things in your life, some of the pieces that maybe you can knock down and rebuild, but what is actually worth it? What actually needs to be rebuilt? What actually is fine and can be reused and maybe won't be ideal in your eyes, but you can still work with if the other elements around it are rebuilt and you add your own creation to those things. I invite you to really just think about that, whatever it is that comes to your mind as I'm talking about this. Maybe it's your job, maybe it is your house, maybe it is your relationships, maybe it's your projects, maybe it's what it is that you want to be doing in terms of your service work, or how it feels like you're helping on earth in general. It can tie into so many things, but just tune into that for yourself and imagine possibilities, as I've been saying for a while now, but also remember that we can salvage some things, that there is some good that does already exist here. Remember that and see it for what it is, because even though sometimes something is broken, it doesn't mean that it isn't any good. And this feels like humanity's lesson in general right now around recycling, reusing, and still appreciating something even though it isn't totally perfect or ideal or a picture on Pinterest or Instagram perfect, right? It's about accepting some of the imperfections that are going to exist in the 3D world and doing our best with them. And sometimes that's even more powerful and more fulfilling when we're able to kind of work with what is there and make the most of it. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Let me know whatever this brings up for you if you want to by reaching out in a message or a comment. And I'll see you in the next Heart Expression. Thanks for listening.